Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. Andy Lee Graham. I'm in San Pedro La Laguna, Lake Atalan, Guatemala. And I'm going to talk about blue zone, 20 blue zones. Okay, and I'm really trying to do this so that you can kind of earmark these things and have them in the back of your brain as you travel around the world. You can kind of have them on your checklist of a place that you might want to stop and just sort of ask questions and try to figure out. Here's a when people it's a blue zone is where people live over 100 years of age. It's a culture that somehow or a environment that creates a situation where people grow longer. Okay, here's a quote from me: when we meet a person over 80 years of age, best to stop and listen to their story. They with the hope that our story is the same as their story. I really believe that learning from our elders or anybody older is a sign of wisdom. Okay, people without a story, a good story, they seldom live long. If you don't have a story, okay, if you don't have something you can tell somebody, like people die when they have no story. My mom, Graham, she came to Guatemala, and she had a story that made allowed her, in my opinion, to live and have hope for another, 4 or 5 years. I was trying to take her to France when she died, but she kind of gave up, right? Um, and I think she would have lived another 5 years if she would have had a story worth living. Okay, a life worth living. Write the story of your life, then go live it. Write the story of your life, write it down, and then go live it. Always have a new story being written. When you don't have a new story being written, you're basically only living off your old stories, and it's kind of like the down here hills thing. When I meet a lot of my older friends, all they can talk about is something that happened to them when they were 18 or 20 or something like that. They very seldom are coming up with stories of the future. So write a new story, then go live it. Uh, People that are talking only about the old times are, in my opinion, dying. Okay, they're in the slow process of dying. But they have to tell these stories because it's the only way they remember them. My friend Watt, that lived to be about 85 or something, told me that. He says, you got to let old people tell their story because that's the story of their life, and that's the only way they can keep their mind working. Talk about the future, new stories, and new adventures, or you will read the story of your past in the obituary. if you don't be talking, if you're not talking about a news story, you're going to only be able to read your own story in the obituaries. Some people check the obituaries every day of the week. I think that's pretty kind of morbid, right? Okay, blue zones defined. A blue zone is a term to describe a geographical region or community. Okay, it's where they live longer, and I don't know. It's not easy to say why. Okay, it's a combination of culture and climate and environment, right? But this came up with the Zoom. The term blue zone was popularized by a National Geographic person named Dan Buettner. Okay, and then so, but there's different things. And I have a list of these are some of the categories I'm going to talk about a little bit. Characteristics of a blue zone. 20 blue zones. And I don't really want to go into great detail on these blue zones. I just I'll try to put the link in the description, and you can go through these. And by going through the list, it's pretty concise. It's got 4 different categories: characteristics, the list of 20 blue zones, 21 schools or university where they're studying longevity, and then 20 major researchers. David Sinclair is one that's all over the internet right now on YouTube. Okay, here's some characteristics that they're saying are characteristics of people that live to be 100. Plant-based diet. I'm debating on that one. I would kind of disagree because a lot of plants do not want you to eat them. But I'm not going to. Then we have physical activity, and this is probably um, a very nebulous thing to talk about because you have really sometimes the wrong activity for living. Like bodybuilders don't live very long, okay, because they overstress their bodies and they do different things that are not good. But regular natural movement. I personally believe that a full range of motion body movement, like I was showing some people here earlier how to use bands to do a very extensive exercise of my whole body. But daily exercise, and the people that kind of live the longest are somewhere in as best I can see, they have no choice. They have to exercise as part of their life. Often people that are like sheep herders or people that are walking, construction workers. Um, different. Number three is social connection. So people that go to church, have a community, have a family, these things are in a lot of ways the reason to keep living, right? If without a family, without a community, without anything, you kind of lose the reason for living. Hello, Hannah. Um, Number four is a sense of purpose. And this is a radical problem for people over 65 that retired. Their whole purpose in life was the job. The minute that they quit, they don't know what to do. And it's really quite obvious to me that I used to try to encourage people to quit their job and retire. Now I really would like them to do that about age 40, okay? Because then they could maybe transition. But the ones that are institutionalized to be a wage slave, they don't know what to do. They don't have any meaning in life except their job, maybe their family and their church, okay? But you got to have a sense of purpose. And that's why a lot of people that live for a long to 100 years pretty much work till the day they die. Like right now, even though I'm not really going to call this much work, I'm have projects, right? So I make videos, and that gives me something to think about, and that gives me kind of a purpose. And if I can help somebody, it's kind of nice. Number five, moderate calorie intake. Okay, that's kind of zoomy, booby, whatever. The people that are near starving live longer. People that barely have enough nutrition live longer. They've proved this over and over. It's not the fat people that live a long time. It's the people that just barely have enough food to live. Um, we'll talk a little bit about that, but there's a word. Well, you got to stress your body, okay? They got two types of stress, though. You got low stress, which means that you're mentally not stressed, and then there's some of this stuff is pretty silly. Plant-based protein, I would say that's sort of wine in moderation. Number eight, there's a thing called resveratrol, which is a chemical that's in wine. Which um, nine, spirituality. I think spirituality is a big one. Daily rituals and routines. Number 10. I'm going to put this link in there and you can read through them. But you're going to have to pick and choose and try to figure out how to adapt yourself to these rules, right? Because everybody's got to come up with their personal way of understanding how to live. Family centricity, meaning that you have a nuclear family. You have a husband and wife, 2 children, 2.2 children, right? That's what is needed to live a long life, because again, like I don't have that, right? And people get really angry at me when I say I would like to get married. And I go, guys, this is ridiculous. Low rates of smoking. Number 13, community gardens. 14, centenarian clusters. That just means that there's a lot of people of the same ilk in the same area. Access to nature, 15. I'm I never would have considered myself. I don't consider myself tree hugger or anything like that, but I I definitely will only go where I can walk around and enjoy the room, the space outside the room. I'm always changing locations to stay in there. And right now, I'm in one of the best climates on the planet, and that means that I can enjoy nature. So in the back of my mind, I'm always finding the places with the best nature, access to nature, shared values. When you're in a community with a community where everybody's sort of the same tribe, diversity is the opposite of this. Okay, people think that diversity is a very, very good thing. I consider it one of the worst things on the planet. You want a kind of homogenous group of people to live with where you know what to expect. Okay, when everything changes every day, that is stress. Routine is one of the things with routine. Water quality, and I do think water quality and air quality are really important. And any city bigger than about 10,000 people, starts to have air quality problems. And the carbon monoxide goes up in the air and settles on everything. So they're growing organic food, but they don't realize that all the tractor and car exhaust and everything is going up in the air and settling on these foods. So we're constantly permeated with chemicals, and this is a big deal for me. Water quality. In Vilcabamba, Ecuador, when I was there, after doing a lot of research, and I finally believe it was the minerals in the water. And what minerals in the water help you to do is they help you to replicate your DNA in a thing. If you don't have enough minerals, the replication of your DNA or the RNA doesn't doesn't happen correctly. So that's the reason why you need a lot of. There's like 6 supplements that people should would be best to take to live a long time, and one of these is the trace minerals and the minerals. So the minerals are sometimes more important than the vitamins. And most vitamins are urinated out of your body, and they have very little good. Like any of the vitamin B stuff is almost worthless. Only very few vitamins are actually beneficial. But okay, the list. In this list, I have the country. I asked my AI assistant to put the country on there because it doesn't necessarily make any sense. There's a place called Abgad Hazia, Georgia, Ashuro, Japan, Bali, Indonesia. That's a place where you might go. Indonesia, that's an easy one to go to. Bama country, China. Campo di Mele, Italy. That might be a place where you go. Campo di Mele, Italy. Centenarian Village, India. Uh, Kerala. That's in that's south of Goa, and it would be a place where they have a lot of tea leaves, right? Anytime you get a chance, go to, if you ever hear they're growing tea, they grow it at about 1,300 meters or about 4,000 feet up. And it's some of the most beautiful things on the planet. Nanyuki, Kenya is where I first saw tea being grown. Crete, Greece. Now that's a place where I would like to go to. Most of these places I don't really have any desire to go to. Hokkaido, Japan. I don't have a clue how anybody in Japan could. And it's a population density. I don't understand. Population density is a lot of mental stress. So I'm always trying to figure out the population density of any place I'm going. Like in the United States, I think it's got about 54 people per square mile, okay, on an average. But when you get to New York City, it could be, I don't know, 5, 10,000 per square, whatever. But it's always good to figure out population density. And one of the problems on the planet is urbanization. Urbanization is everybody's moving to the city. And they don't move there for jobs. They move there because they want to have, a good place to party. Number 11, land, in my opinion, Lanzarote, Spain. That might be a good place for me to go. Here's one in the United States, Loma Linda, California. New territories, number 13, Hong Kong. Number 14, Nicoya, Peninsula, Costa Rica. Number 15 is Okinawa, Japan. But if you're doing research, you got to be able to highlight something, then right click and like go to a search engine and define these words. And copy and paste is a skill set of somebody that a really required skill to do research. So have your children learn how to type with 10 fingers, touch type, and you want them to learn how to copy and paste. These are the big ones of doing research. Sardina, no, I missed one. Okinawa, Japan's number 15. Sandra Jankar, Bhutan. Probably, I'll go to Bhutan sometime in my life, but not an easy place to go to. You have to have the only way to go there is off the country of Nepal, and it's considered one of the happiest places on the planet. Singapore, wow. I would never think Singapore would be on this list. Sardinia, Italy. So there's a couple in Italy, Singapore, Vilcabamba, Ecuador, a place I've been. And here's an interesting one, Vermont, USA. They've given the whole state a list of 20 things. I have a list of 20 schools on this list. So I'll put this in the description, and this page has very compact information on everything you want to know. But they got them mostly in the overdeveloped or the highly developed countries. United States, Harvard's big one. John Hopkins, the United States Mayo Clinic. Let's see, Columbia, University of Columbia, Sweden, Singapore, Tokyo. They're having a lot of these where they have the blue zones. They have a Centurion Village or some longevity studying that was in Vilcabamba, but it was always closed when I was there. And I was there for 3 months. So, a lot of these things are kind of lip service, platitude talking, not real serious type things. United States, Stanford University, which is, I would consider Stanford University, this is where the Hoover Institution is. I would consider it by far one of the best universities on the planet. I consider Harvard not worth doing, right? University of Michigan, very good university, just north of Indiana, where I live. University of Pennsylvania, Southern California. Australia's got one in Sydney, Denmark, Italy. Interestingly, they have a lot of these where they're considering blue zones, okay? I got 20 researchers, but the one that I would really ask you to key in on would be David Sinclair. He's actually talking about the reversing of things. I am a little concerned about David Sinclair. He has this tally thing where you're going to be able to figure out how to do it, but it's like $125 a month. That's the cheap one. And so he's obviously very money oriented, okay? He's hooking in to make a lot of money. And anybody that's as a researcher or whatever, when they're starting to have a money desire, there's a problem there. It's kind of a confusion because they have trouble saying the truth, right? If they accidentally say they're sponsored by a product or something, it's like all the politicians. The politicians get into office because of the pharmaceutical companies or the military weapon industry, or like Pfizer was basically paying for politicians, right? And they speak with forked tongue, okay? And researchers have to be able to say what they believe. One thing I really respect about Elon Musk is he will say something that will cause problems for his companies because he's more about the truth than he is about the money. Now, maybe 20 years ago when he was just starting, who knows? But right now he's gone into the philanthropy philanthropy phase. In the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have at the highest level philanthropy, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Is just basically doing stuff for the fun of helping the world, and I would really try to study the hierarchy of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And when people are only talking about the weather and how to make money, they're only in the beginning. Okay, it's kind of interesting, but these are really great things to study, and let's see if I can go down further. Maybe I'll miss something here. It's hard to read these things on smartphones, right? Smartphones are like how to go dumb, how to go dumb fast. I have two computers in my room, and because they're only like $225. Yeah, I've got them all. But I have two computers, then I have that allows me to do it. But there's problems. This electrical magnetic current that's coming out of these computers is on me. I bought one of them ghost things that gives you the electrical magnetic radiation or whatever, and it goes like get near your smartphone or you get near the microwave and they go crazy. I also have a word that I want to talk about that is really what David Sinclair is constantly talking about, and it's a new word to me, but I collected 100 different instances. There's contrary to what you think, it's not comfort that makes you live long. It's actually distress. Okay, the people that hold on one second. Okay, click on that on my Google Docs. Contrary to what you think, comfort kills you. Okay, I used to have this friend named Stanley. I call it the Stanley principle. He used to say, "Don't get comfortable or you die." And I 100% believe that anybody that spends their whole time trying to be comfortable, eat really easy, whatever, is going to die earlier. If you there's a thing called the resource curse. The resource curse is basically the tropics. Things are so easy that they don't have to strive, and the countries that make the most money are where they had to strive the most, like Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Iceland. These countries are very rich because life was difficult. Okay, not because it was easy. Okay, and resource curse is when life is so easy that you don't have to do. Life in Africa or Central America, South America is incredibly easy. Okay, it's not. It's kind of they just don't. They have a dream of having possessions, right? But there's a thing called hormetic stress. Hormetic. H hormetic stress. And this is a type of stress. Let's see if I can read it. I'll try to be accurate. I collected 100 of them. Hormetic stressors are conditions or stimuli that, when applied in moderate or controlled amounts, elicit adaptive responses in the body, potentially promoting longevity and overall health. So when you put a stress on your body, the body kind of like it's kind of the idea that the more the hottest metal goes through the what doesn't kill you makes it stronger, okay? Or the best metal goes through the hottest flame. And I have about 100 of these, and I'll be talking about that some other day. But there's for stress is like exercise, but not too much stress. One of the biggest stresses that people can do, which is very, very good for the body, is to alternate between hot and cold water. I just learned the other day that when you do this, your lymph glands can, basically the heat opens them up, and I think the cold squeeze them. So basically, you can turn it on and off and pump all your lymph, which is the debris in your body, and get it going to your areas of your body to process it. And anybody over about 40 or anybody that has trouble doing heavy duty aerobic exercise, how you have to get this moving. The edema, which is like the when you have really fat ankles, that's our varicose veins. That's things that are falling. Think the debris coming out of your cells is not being cycled fast enough because there is no pressure on lymph. Okay, but here's some of this stuff: is calorie restriction. One of the biggest things that make you live longer is eating less. Okay, actually, almost starving. Fasting like once a week will put a hormetic stress on your body. I do intermittent fasting. I eat in a 6 hour window. Uh, UV radiation, sunlight makes you live longer. It doesn't kill you. It actually makes you live longer. Nutrient stress, saunas. Saunas are really good for you. Cold showers. Um, let's see, caffeine, um, compression therapy, anything that kind of makes the body fight back. That's kind of what hormetic stress is. Anytime you strive, and the body physically has to do it. This is really um, grounding or earthing. This is one of the problems I have. And I used to wear sandals all the time. And there's electrochemical synapses in the body. That means the nerves are running with little electrical things. So you see them shocking the body. When they shock the body, they're giving an electrical current. You get a pacemaker to shock the body, but there's all the body is electrical. And the way you can understand this is if you ever walk barefoot through the grass, you'll feel really good. Okay, what that's doing is balancing out the electric chemical synapses in your body, and it makes you feel good because it removes a lot of electricity from your body. We're in houses right now that are not grounded. You're in carpet. You're not grounded. So when I wore sandals, I could take my sandals off real easy and put them on the concrete. And in the developing world or the 200 normal countries, it's really common to just be able to walk in, take your shoes off, and basically you're not really wearing socks much. There's a thing called earthing to get this done. There's 100 of these. Barefoot walking or running. Cold air, cold air, cold air, hot, cold air, hot. That's good for you. This stress of going back and forth is really good for you. Water fasting. That's basically saying not taking water for a while. The body fights back, and that fighting back comes back stronger. Mindful eating. Some of these things are sort of funny, but high intensity cognitive task. That's what I do, right? I'm using high intensity cognitive task. I'm basically using my brain and I'm applying it and I'm trying to explain something that I learned. So first things I do when I'm doing something is I teach myself. And then by teaching somebody else, I can kind of prove to myself whether I understand it. And when you take words that you're reading on a screen or in a book, and then you actually talk about them, you start to own those words. And I highly recommend people journalize. Probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life is write a travel blog, or not really travel, but I talked about anything, right? I write about anything for about I wrote a weekly newsletter for the first 5 years of my travel. Then for the last 20 years, I wrote almost a daily or travel blog, or I made a travel video. So I made over about 15 to 20,000 times I've written something. I've written 5 books, and I made about 5,000 videos. And I don't have really any value on these things. I've just deleted all the travel blog. and I deleted about 3,000 of the videos. Why? Because they were valuable to me. Okay, the fact that I articulated what I was thinking about made me a better person, and some ways, and I lived by doing this for 23 years, well, 25 years and 10 months. I'm still living by the articulation of what I'm doing and thinking and talking. Basically, I'm giving information, and in return, people kind of support me. I have a Patreon link, and I will soon put on a way for you to donate monthly on YouTube, but a lot of people go live with me and they donate on this, I don't know what you call it, super chat. Okay, it's kind of funny. And all I got to do to live and go anywhere, listen to that rooster, Gallo, um, is thing. I have a link and everything on different types of consulting I do. I'm charging $50 an hour, which is anybody that's traveling, that's going to save, you're going to save thousands of dollars. So that's really a no-brainer. But, and I can do different things. I'm here and you're not. Why not? I'm here because my brain is active in that the knowledge of all these things makes me feel safe, right? A lot of people that really don't understand something are afraid. When you really understand something, you feel safer. Like I understand relatively very well what's going on in the Israeli Hamas Palestine war. I don't really see Hamas and Palestine people as different at all. They're the same thing. They're just playing games here. Try to be nice, right? But I understand why they're at war, and that makes me feel good. I realized in AA that clarity is serenity. Clarity, understanding why I do something, is makes me feel safe, and it makes me relax. So clarity, the more I understand something, the more serene I am. The people that are angry are the ones that are in a lot of ways afraid, or they have fear. Fear is anger. So when you get angry, you're afraid of something, right? So when a person's real angry with me, I know they're afraid. Okay, um, like I said, there in on my channel or any of the descriptions now, there's a Patreon link where you can uh, sign up and pay like $5 or $25 a month. $25 a month gives you the ability to call me a lot. $5 is going to allow you to join Zoom meetings. And I'm also going to adapt this and say that in a really radical situation, if you need to communicate with me to get, like one guy, David, the other day, he wanted to know how to choose a doctor in Central and South America. That's a really tough question. And we talked about it. I gave him some ideas, and what you need is somebody to work through these ideas really quick. And maybe just one phone call when you're really kind of desperate can really save you, right? But again, if you want to talk to me a lot, you're going to get like one or two phone calls a month on for being a $25 kind of like concierge member. Okay, I'm here and you're not. Why not? I like to say that, and it's my moniker. And I I am always living better than you are. Why? Because I choose where I live. I'm not forced to live there because of a job. It's a big deal. I choose the world I live in. Okay, I'm writing a book, my sixth book, and it's about Henry David Thoreau. And some of the links are posted around here where I'm looking for people that I can interview that are teachers of Henry David Thoreau. They don't have to be experts, but they teach the subject of Henry David Thoreau or transcendentalism or Ralph Waldo Emerson. Okay, hit that subscribe button, click on that bell to make it so you get a notification every time I post something. Thank you. Bye-bye.